Someone's been following me. What are you gonna do?
We're going to play spy games.
I like playing these spy games.
All right, James Bond.
The Irrational season finale Tuesday on NBC and Peacock.
All right, all right. All right, so my name is Nigeria Chambers. I'm from Big Gold Belt Media. And Karen and Jesse, thank you so much for your time today. We are very, very close to the season finale of NBC's The Irrational, which is streaming weekly. I think we got two more to go. But nonetheless, it's been a ride and it's been so much fun watching you two now over two seasons. But ultimately, how are you two doing today? And just truly, what's been the joy in being a part of one of the most watched series on television right now?
Oh, that's nice, Najir. Thank you so much, first of all. Thanks for having us. Great to see your face, doing what you do. Uh, it has been absolutely incredible. I mean, I never imagined that, like, my work in television, which was normally in the detective mode, would evolve into something I really love, professor mode, or at least teaching mode, because if I was an actor, I'd probably be a teacher. So I couldn't have imagined that the idea of solving mysteries, particularly homicides, would evolve into me doing that kind of work, but from a professor's angle, with a scientific bend.
Yeah. Kara.
Oh, it's a new day in school for me, playing a character like Rose. She keeps me humble and she keeps me on my toes. I'm always excited when I see a script. I'm like, what does Rose have to do in this episode? I mean, golfing, sign language, American Sign Language, and now singing, and also singing alongside with Jesse, and having Jesse as a scene partner is utter joy. I feel so blessed that this is the way I get to pay my bills, is by being with such a kind and giving and wonderful work husband. I just feel like I'm so lucky, and yeah, the stories we get to tell is fun, and certainly these last two episodes of the season were a lot of fun.
I have so much I want to come back to you with on that, Karen, but really quickly, quick detour. So, Jesse, I got to ask you, because beyond this being one of my favorite shows, huge fan of how it really happened. I have got to know,
Oh, no way.
when did you get the call? How did they sort of approach you with that? And obviously tips the hat to Hill and his work, but like
Yeah.
you bring in a new fresh breath of air to it. And again, another show that's just must watch.
Well, look, it came out of left field, to be honest. I was a fan of the show. Hill Harper, of course. Shout out to Hill. It wasn't on my radar at all as far as a job goes. And out of nowhere, I get a call asking if I'd be interested in doing it. And I was like, wait a minute, that's Hill's job. Like, where he at? And I don't even know why Hill left or what happened. But I was certainly glad to step in. And then, to be in sort of a presenter role, like a host role, where you get to tell these incredible stories from a completely different angle, right? Like, yeah. I'm just as much an audience member in that show as the audience itself, because I'm learning things about these mysteries where we all think we know the answers to what happened, but we don't know what really happened. Yeah. And I love that there's a whole show that's been on the air forever. Again, yeah. Shout out Hill Harper. Where I get to explore these mysteries. I hope I get to continue doing it, because it is a great job. It's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, me too. Running joke in the house was before we even got into episode 1. Episode 0 was like, where is Hill Harper? Like, what happened? I hope he's okay. Like,
he's apparently good.
Karen, I gotta ask you. I've been such a fan of yours, and your work with Fear the Walking Dead is grace, and it goes back to your comment, because you talk about a character in Rose that keeps, or excuse me, working with Jesse, and in your character that keeps you humble. But if it's not Rose, if it's not Grace, these are two characters that are kept. Two of our most beloved characters on television, which is Morgan, played by Lenny, and obviously Alec, played by Jesse. You have kept them humble. You have kept them grounded. You've provided a measure of intellect and heart. I want to know for you when you step into these roles and you breathe life and humanity to it, like what is that preparation, and then ultimately just how much does it mean to you?
Oh, well, as Jesse will, I'm sure will agree with this too. It's like to be able to tell the stories of our characters, it's telling their truths, whether we agree or disagree with their, the decisions and choices they make. Those are the beautiful stories and maybe not so beautiful stories that we have to tell within our characters. Playing what I love about Rose and characters like Rose and Grace, besides the fact that we get to act alongside actors like Jesse and Lenny James. Um, is
Shout out
is
James.
yes. I don't know what I did in a past life, but again, Lenny, and then after Lenny, I thought who I don't know who I'm going to get the opportunity to work with next, and I hope they're just as kind and wonderful. And then comes Jesse L. Martin. So I to play different characters that are so that a huge part of them are so different from who I am in many ways, is such a thrill. In fact, the more flawed they are, the more excited I get. The more complex they are, the more exciting and petrifying it is to play such a character. I love that with Rose, there's this struggle for her to be vulnerable. And I love how when she meets someone like Alec, that vulnerability is encouraged and it's in a safe space that she can be vulnerable and deal with things that she's just been so good at putting away and escaping from. I mean, part of her journey of being an MI6 agent, same with Grace in Fear the Walking Dead. I mean, they've had their traumas, and certainly their childhood traumas and traumas growing up and in life. And the best thing is to just run away from it all by throwing themselves into their work and escaping into it. So it takes, the Morgans and the Alex of the world to call them out in a very loving way and to
Yeah.
not be afraid to, to say that we're not okay, actually.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through this alone. So playing characters like that really, really excites me. Flawed, the nuances that you can add to the storylines that we're given, which are just so wonderful. Like it's a new day in school, I said.
Yeah.
Every episode is just thrilling.
Hey Jesse, my brother. And I can't remember what episode it is, but um when we talk about representation and seeing ourselves on television or just all in media, there's
Yeah.
a very powerful episode with Alec and his dad. And
Ah,
beyond that, he really works through a lot of trauma throughout the entirety of the series. But
yeah.
one thing that I think, as a black man, that we still are very working very hard to normalize is repairing some of these relationships within our family
Absolutely.
and letting some of these things go. So first of all, just in that scene and just how powerful it was, just flat out tears. I was just like, it was just that powerful. But I want to know for you and your legendary career and all you stand for and all you advocate for, when you continue to push the narrative to normalize these things, and you have a moment like that when you saw it on the script, what was just your thoughts, and ultimately once you look back at the moment, just what was your emotions from it?
Well, initially, the first thing that jumped out is how well written it was. So that's one thing. So it would be uh, my scene to mess up. And then you have to look at who's playing the other character. Ron Canada, who is a whole legend, is there with us to do this scene that I think is really well written, to deal with these characters I think are really well written, to deal with these moments that anybody, black, white, male, female, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
can identify with, because we
Yeah.
all have those moments where we're dealing with what happened to us, what happened to our parents, what happened to those relationships. Like we all have it. We all have it. And it's
Yeah.
particular, when it comes from, a Hugh like me and a Hugh like you and a Hugh like
Yes,
my
sir.
dad.
Yes, sir.
So I knew all the things were in place for it to be poignant, for it to be right. What I didn't know is that when they said action and we went into it, I'd never worked with Ron before. And like, he's somebody that I'd seen on stage and I've certainly seen on television and in movies, but I'd never been on, in the room with him working. And it struck me immediately how on point he was. Like, he was so in the pocket that I was like, there's a part of me that panicked because I'm like, wait, am I in the pocket? Like, am I right there with him? But we had great words to work with. We had great scenes to work with. We also had a great crew who had such respect for the moment, right? And before I knew it, we were doing the scene, and Karen can probably attest to this, because when, particularly on stage, this happens, where you're on stage, you get so caught up in it that there's been times when I've run off stage and had to ask the stage manager, did I do everything right? Did I say what I was meant to say? That's how I felt working with Ron in those moments. It was so right, real, organic, that it was one of those moments where you're like, you literally had to say to yourself, did we do what we were supposed to do at that moment? And, you'd look around at the crew and all like, oh my God, that was amazing. So you're like, okay, yeah, I guess we did do what we were meant to do. But, a whole lot of elements have to come together for an audience member like yourself to get moved by something like that.
Yeah.
And the stars aligned, Baby Yoda said a prayer, whoever, right? Everybody came together and we got to do that. Best part of my job. And, there's been some incredible moments in my career where I got to stand next to somebody or stand in front of somebody, and those things happen. And I'm really grateful that they keep happening. And I'm really grateful that they've happened here on this show with many people, Karen herself included. But that was extremely special. And thank you for pointing it out, because, I don't know when I ever get a chance to talk about it and hail Ron Canada, but he deserves hailing. He should be on the Hall of Fame of everything good and right when it comes to acting.
And he
Amen
needs
to
to
that.
he needs to come back. Rose needs to meet your dad.
Soon enough, love, soon enough. You're gonna have to meet my mom too.
Oh, that's right. Ooh, yes. Yes.
She's still around.
Oh boy. Well, listen.
Putting it out there.
Putting it out there. You know what else I'm gonna put out there really quick as I wrap?
What's that?
Fingers crossed for the announcement for season 3. We
Thank
are
you.
all waiting for it. The ratings are there, the justification's there, the fans are hungry, and we hope that we get that announcement soon. But into the meantime, we have 2 more to go in this season, and Jesse and Karen has been absolutely amazing talking to you about things thus far. Hopefully, we get to talk again very soon.
Thank you, Najir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank you
Really
Najir.
so much. Absolutely. Take care today.
All right, bye-bye.
Regulars.